Here we are in Boulder City, just outside of Las Vegas, with Mark from Fox Racing Shock.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off with a fork here that's called a 36 Van RC2. This is a new fork for 2006 that's going to address kind of all-mountain freeride type of riding. It's a coil version fork. It has low speed, high speed compression, rebound, and it's 160 millimeters of travel.
So can you explain some of the adjustments and how they work?
Absolutely. I'll start off with the high and low speed compression. Down here on this fork here, you can see we got a nice aluminum cap here that covers it. This is designed to take the hits so the knobs don't get broken. And if you go down here, small knob is low speed, large knob is high speed. There's 17 clicks of low speed, 15 clicks of high speed. Control the pedaling bob on the fork. You can adjust the low speed for big hits, bottom out control. You can adjust the high speed. This is the rebound adjustment. This controls the fork returning once it's compressed and the speeds. And this has 15 turns of adjustment. 15 clicks of adjustment. Usually most riders run them about 5 clicks out. You want it just so it controls the ride, so it's not sporadically fast. You don't want it too slow, so it's packing down, holding the front end down. The last adjustment this fork has is preload for the spring rate, and that's this blue one here. This one is to set your sag up at the spring rate. If you're off within a few percent of your sag, you can use the preload to firm it up. If you can't achieve that with the preload, you have to go to next spring firmer. You know, the spring rate is one of the most important things. It's got to be right, and especially if you're riding at an expert or higher level, you need to go next spring rate up most likely, just because your speeds are faster than the normal consumer and what they're riding on.
Is it a dual coil fork?
No, it's a single coil. We call it a linear rate spring, and what it does is the fork having a position sensitive bottom out control in there, that's addressing the progressivity at the end of the stroke.
So now we're going to take a look at the Fox 40 fork for 06 and with Mark here.
Okay, for 2006, we've made a few changes to the fork. It was an 05 release, and for 06, we just focused on some minor little details, make little small improvements. We put a little cable guide. We put flat crowns, trying to keep the ride height very low on the fork. 40 millimeter upper tubes, keep it stiff. Little caps on the adjustments to protect them from the rocks and hitting terrain.
What are some of the other adjustments we have on this fork?
On this fork, you can also adjust the travel between 6 and 8 inches. It's an internal adjustment, but with normal tools in the garage, it's an easy thing to do. It's in half-inch increments. A lot of the racers like to run at 7.5 inches, and it depends on the bike it's on and the head angle and the geometry. A lot of that goes into play. One of the other adjustments on this fork is the spring. This is a single-sided spring in this fork, and it comes with a titanium spring. It's called green. It's 45 inch-pound spring, and this covers for most riders from the 160 to 180 pound range. And you can buy different springs to adjust for the spring rate for your weight. Probably the most important feature to adjust on this fork.
So what do you got here? That looks like something out of this Fox 40.
Yes, this is the damper or the heart of the fork itself. This controls the damping, high, low speed, rebound. It's position sensitive. It's called a cartridge type system, and it's also known as a dry type system in the fork, meaning the oil that lubricates the fork itself doesn't mix with the damping oil. Position sensitive feature sits inside. There's a lot of aluminum and small parts inside of here that make up this heart of the fork right here.
Now we're going to touch on the Fox DHX rear shock line.
In 2005, the DHX was an all-new shock for us, and the goal of the shock was to design a coil shock that's going to handle all the different conditions without having to go inside of it and do a lot of revalving and sending it away to have it worked on. This way the consumer can do it all themselves. So I'll start out with the Pro Pedal adjustment. This first blue knob here, this is the Pro Pedal knob. It has 14 clicks of adjustment, and it comes right in the middle, set at 7. We have factory settings for all the adjustments. And this adjustment here works great on different kinds of downhill conditions. For an example, if you're riding A-line and there's not a lot of small rocks or bumps in the course, and you just want the bike to be really stable over the jumps, you turn the Pro Pedal knob in, you make it firm, and it's not going to move much, keep the bike stable. It's going to feel kind of more like a dirt jump bike rather than a downhill bike. The other feature on this shock is we call it bottom out control. It's this big blue knob here. If you're going to go do some big drops somewhere rather than doing some downhill runs and you're bottoming out frequently, you just turn this knob in, reduces the bottom out of the shock.
Is this shock gas charged or is it air charged? Does the consumer, set the air himself, or how does that work?
It comes charged with gas from the factory, and it has a Schrader valve on there that the consumer can adjust with a standard Fox pump. And for most consumers, they won't need to touch it, do anything with it. It comes stock from the factory with 130 psi. They could just leave it alone. This shock here, this is a new DHX Air for 2006. It's brand new for us. We've been working on it for about 2 years. And we took the DHX technology and made it into an air shock. You have a pro pedal knob, and then the bottom out control. And then right here we have a rebound adjustments in a different spot than the coil shock. And this usually has about 18 clicks of rebound adjustment. It's a feature that's most important to set up first thing you set up other than spring rate. But in order, you want to always set up spring rate first, whether it's air pressure or coil, and then go to rebound.
Who's on the team for 06?
For 06, we'll stay with Yeti will be a team with us. That consists of Ross Milon, Duncan Riffle, Rich Hausman, Jared Graves, Jill Kittner, and then Tyler Klassen being the free rider for the team. The Luna team, which is a women's mountain bike team. The other team we work with is Common Sol. They're a European team, do the World Cups with Anne-Caroline Souchon. Maxis US with Jeff Kabush racing cross country. And they have John Cricaldi and Colin Bailey and Matthew Tulez. We have the Cove team for rear shocks, Norco for rear shocks, and the Kona team for rear shocks. There are a lot of individual riders too. We've got Brian Lopes, won the world championship. Kyle Strait, who's also a downhiller, like John Cowan for rear shocks. And one of the big things with the riders too that's very important for us is it's not the results we're after. Results come with it. That's a big part of it. But the most important thing is that they give us good feedback and they're good representatives of the product.
So I want to thank Mark from Fox Racing Stocks for taking us through the product line and thank him for his time. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Keep checking back for more updates from Interbike 2005.